Welcome back to XCOM Abridged. Last time we were attempting to do the find a lead objective. We found a few leads, but I don't think we actually achieved it, so we're just going to go find some more and carry on with the other story objective, that is researching an Advent officer. Right now we've just got one generic mission to go on. It's a mission to free a few guys to join our resistance base and generally level up our territory. Just need to extract them from prison. I suppose the aliens will try to stop us though, so best be ready for that. This is one of these missions where it's handy to use the initial concealment to run across the map and start the fight pretty close to the objective, although the time limit's really long, so not really a big deal. And actually it didn't go very well, because as I was moving, some aliens appeared from the edge of the map and got a flanking position on us. That allows them to see you at pretty long range, so now everyone's out of concealment and it's go time. The good news is I have a couple of guys on Overwatch, and they immediately take down the sectoid. Then the bad news is that another sectoid and another sentry get drawn into the fight. The good news is that they go into pretty bad cover that's easy to outflank, and the bad news is that they both go into Overwatch, so now we can't move. Time to deal with the situation. Somebody is able to throw a flashbang that can just about reach both of the overwatching enemies. So we do that, and now we can move safely. The sentry from the first squad is absolutely screwed because he's too close to us and is really easy to outflank, so there we go, get a 100% shot right in the face. Then the other two enemies are hard to hit, but I can do this area suppression thing on them so they don't move. That also further debuffs their accuracy on top of the flashbang debuff. Basically they're not going to be able to do anything this turn. We can see a few more enemies on the other side of this building. That's because Nobuna has a trait that prevents her being discovered when the squad breaks concealment, so she's actually further ahead looking to go and do the objective. But anyway, back to the fight. One of the sectoids fires, or the sectoid fires and doesn't do anything, and then because the enemy didn't move, they're really easy to outflank in that position, so we just move slightly along the road and absolutely annihilate them, no problems there. Now the building we're standing next to is the building we need to break into to get these resistance members out. So I just set up ready to go on that, but those three enemies we saw earlier end up coming into the fight on the opposite side of the building, in pretty good cover and far away from us, making them hard to engage. However, a window on our side actually allowed me to outflank one of the guys inside, like that. We take a shot here, and because it's our lucky day, we get a crit. Actually, we're not being that lucky. At the start of this mission I hacked a lamppost and got a plus 25% chance to crit, I think. So basically that's why I've got tons of crits in this mission so far, and it's going quite well. Anyway, as mentioned earlier, Nobuna is in the jail, actually standing next to the doors right now, so I can go ahead and do the objective. I guess I really am not lucky, because I went for the 11% chance but really good reward there and didn't get it. Well, I wouldn't have got either of them, so it didn't matter in that case. But we have opened the doors, and now these prisoners are free, just need to rush them back to the extraction point. And now Nobuna can move into position to outflank the enemy if they stay where they are during this turn, and we're going to help them stay where they are by using our two gunners to suppress the two remaining enemies, and indeed they just sit there, they hunker down, so now they're going to be harder to hit for us this turn, but they haven't done anything, they've lost their turn effectively. We get a pretty good outflanking shot with South Susan by coming around the side of the building, so that's one enemy down. As for the other guy, how could I resist? Nobuna just sprints through the building, getting the extra damage by running a long way with the sword attack, and gets the kill even with a graze there. So, very good stuff. There was a bit more action after that, because while I was preparing to leave, a drone appeared in one of the buildings across the road from the extraction point, and after a whole bunch of blasting, we take it down. I then stayed in the mission for a while to go and get the loot it dropped, and this caused some enemy reinforcements to spawn. Luckily it was only two guys, so nothing too bad. They spawned right next to where we were standing, they're just below the building where the extraction point is. So that means they're going to take Overwatch fire, because I always have everyone just sitting on Overwatch just in case something like that happened, and it paid off. Although the Overwatch doesn't do the damage I thought it did there, or thought it would there. We didn't get any kills, but we damaged one guy, finished him off in our turn, and the other guy just gets absolutely hosed at point blank range. And overall no problem to get away from that mission, with not only no casualties but no wounds. Perfect, so this squad can go on another mission now. Very good stuff. Now that I'm back home, I realised I hadn't been using the Guerrilla Training Center to train rookies. We can train all of our uncustomized characters to give them classes and make them the second rank, so that when people die we can replace them with operatives who aren't completely trash, they're just nearly trash. So that might come in useful later on. In terms of what we need to do in the game, I need to do this autopsy on the Advent officer, but it says here I need 2 scientists to even begin it, and we only have 1. So our new objective is to get another scientist. A mission came up which was to steal some resources, some supplies. That's always useful, so I'm going to send a squad on that one. While waiting for the next mission, I completed the construction of the Advanced Warfare Center. This is the thing that will reduce the wound time. So all those guys that were like out for a month can now be got back into service a little bit faster. We need to commit a scientist to this. But I think that scientist isn't taken away from your pool, so we still have 1 scientist on the research team doing things and still only need 1 more. You can also do this thing where you take guys out of the squad for a few days to give them a new perk. Seems like a good idea, since over time you can just keep getting these. So here, for example, I'm giving Rommel, maybe, I can't remember who this was, somebody, an ability that allows you to fire a pistol shot that cannot miss, which sounds pretty exploitable. So we'll take that. Just means you can't use them for those 4 days, but you never know, maybe we don't need them. Finally, a mission becomes available, and actually it's a mission to get a scientist. So this is precisely what we need. We have a chance here to actually make some progress in the game. I used my concealment to get across the road from the scientist's jail, but then there were 5 enemies down in the street, so we need to engage them. This is a case where attacking with a grenade against a group of 3 would be the ideal way to start. But I was feeling kind of greedy. I wanted to increase the chance of us getting some loot from this by just shooting them with our guns, especially because I have 2 snipers, and I haven't really used snipers yet very much in this series. So Belisarius here takes the first shot and doesn't get a kill. So that's a bad start, we're kind of wasting our ambush here. However, it's recovered by Caesar, who does 2 Overwatch shots with his crotch in Alexander the Great's face. He has a skill that allows him to shoot twice in Overwatch, and as we saw, he killed 2 of the enemies, so actually now the ambush didn't go so badly, thank you very much. We also have Che Guevara up here with his sniper rifle in a position that sort of outflanks one of the enemies, so we get a pretty high chance to hit that shot, and we do get the hit, getting us another kill. Then Hannibal goes down the left side of the building to outflank a troop, getting the kill easily, and Nuke Tashino jumps off the right side of the building for the same thing, and bang! Just like that, we've taken out all the enemies in front of us and the way forward is clear. So in the end, that ambush did go okay. I started setting up ready to cross the road and get things going, but 2 enemies came out of the building we're going towards, so now we have to fight them. And actually, we have to fight them right now, because one enemy not only takes good cover, but shoots this turn, hits Shay, and he's down. He loses all his health. He doesn't die, however, he's down to bleeding out, meaning he's about to die. And it was at this most critical point that I realised I haven't equipped anybody with a med pack. The reason why was because I legitimately thought there weren't med packs in this mod. I think because normally you buy them from the engineer, but because they weren't for sale, I thought, oh, they just aren't in the game. But actually, you just start with Infinity med packs, so you can equip them without buying them. I didn't realise, so nobody has one. That means we can't use a med pack to prevent bleeding out happening. The other thing you can do to save someone who's bleeding out is call the Sky Ranger to pick them up, but in fixed extraction missions like this one, you can't change its position. That means, in order to save Shay, I have to take him to the end of the map right now, and that's just impossible due to movement point restrictions. So, he's dead. The only upside to all this is that somehow Belisarius gets this flanking shot through full cover. I'm pretty sure that was a massive line of sight glitch, but at least we got our revenge. That's something, especially after the enemy cheekily fired in the turn they discovered us, which normally they're not supposed to do. Anyway, as for the enemy in that room, Nuke does a run and gun so he can take 2 moves and an action, getting a grenade in the door. And then I think Caesar moves up as well and got into range for a grenade, so I just threw that. Not going to waste any time here, we'll just get rid of him with no risk. Especially since we are down an operative, so this is a good time to just forget about getting loot really and blow our way through the mission. 2 more enemies appeared. It was a drone behind us and a drone in front of us. Not too difficult for us to deal with. Drones sometimes don't even attack you, sometimes they just stun you without doing damage. And they're not too hard to kill, unless you are Belisarius, who just cannot get the job done. We hit that drone, but it survives with 1 health. The drone that was in front is easy to kill, because Hannibal can just climb up the building and get a point blank range, 100% chance to kill. Shot, there we go. As for the one behind us, Alexander the Great just went back and took a shot, there we go, finishing that off. And that was actually the last enemy in the mission. Now we just had to leave. We grabbed the scientist from the building and off we went. And we're taking Che Guevara's body with us, but far too late for him to survive from the bleeding out. A particularly tragic death, not only because he was pretty good so far, but it was so avoidable. If only I'd bothered to bring some med packs or investigated the menus enough to know that I could have brought med packs, we could have got away with that. So from now on I am going to try and give med packs to my squads, although obviously all the squads that have already gone out for the next couple of missions still won't have them, so we'll see if any antics arise from that. After the mission I went to the black market and bought a new engineer using most of my money. This allows me to speed things up with the clearing out of the base. We're going to need loads of new buildings soon, we're going to need more power, and we need the thing that allows you to make contact with more regions so we can expand our area of operations. So 2 or 3 building slots will be needed all at the same time, basically, in very short order. I also realised you can upgrade the buildings we already have to make them do various other things, but we don't really have the power or money to look into that, so we'll just continue to ignore it. I forgot to mention at some point that I have made contact with the Eastern Africa haven, so we have 3 bases to manage right now, and I'm actually doing some management incredibly. You can assign your squad members to be advisors to the base, and I think this reduces the extent to which they steal money from you, or the aliens steal money from you at the end of each turn. Since we can't really afford to give out any good operatives, I just put a bunch of our uncustomized goons into the bases, in the hopes that that is better than nothing, and we don't need them right now, so it's fine to just leave them out there doing whatever. Now time for the next mission. We've got a find a lead mission that comes up, and it's also one that rewards you with a non-rookie troop, which is always handy. That will allow us to afford losses, and since that might come in extremely useful, we want to try and get that operative out. Although first, another mission gets finished with its infiltration, and it's the one I started earlier, the one where we need to steal some enemy resources. We had no concealment for this mission, and the fighting starts right away. On the other side of the house we deployed next to, there are 2 enemies. I managed to find this cheeky shot with Vlad the Impaler shooting through a door and a window to just about get a grenade on one enemy, whereas pretty much every other line of sight towards the enemy was blocked, so we're lucky to be able to get that shot. We take the shot and bang, 1 enemy down. As for the other guy, I've got Genghis Khan up on the roof who was just taking a look at those enemies. He's going to run right in and use the sword to attack, and that's particularly useful because Genghis Khan is immune to reaction fire and that enemy was on Overwatch, so he doesn't get shot just charging in and getting the kill there. That is all good. However, he does end up standing in a position that is outflanked by this turret we've just discovered on a roof across the street. No one else can attack that turret, meaning the turret will get an outflanking shot on Genghis in the alien turn. Very bad news. At least he doesn't die. He's wearing some armor, so mostly the damage is taken by the armor and he survives. Dodgy stuff though. The turret then goes into Overwatch, which is still a problem because we can't advance up to get line of sight on the turret without risking being shot by it. So I didn't know what to do, but then I discovered that Wilmer up here on the roof actually has line of sight on the turret with a sniper shot. Chance to hit isn't that good, and the chance to kill isn't that good either. But actually, we get the hit and we get a high damage roll, getting the maximum possible damage without critting, and that does kill the turret. So now we're free to move. Napoleon here moves up towards that statue, but it turns out there were 3 enemies right there that hadn't been drawn in yet, so now we have to fight these guys. Annoyingly, they're all in good cover and are quite far away from us, so it's hard for us to make any attacks, although that's not going to stop Saladino chucking a grenade over, and we get a kill right away, so that's a very good start to that. As for everyone else, you can see it's kind of hard for us to move up here. All the good cover is where we are now, then there's bad cover, and good cover right next to the enemy, where we'd be so close that we could be outflanked. That said, Napoleon pretty much has to make a move like that to get into good cover, so he's going to shuffle forwards, getting really close to the enemy and not doing anything this turn, but hopefully reducing his chance of death. We can use Overwatch to protect him from being outflanked, the Overwatch of other people that is, and I get a flash forward that just about reaches the enemy that's really close to him, reducing its accuracy. Long story short, in the alien turn they didn't do anything, they just shuffled about and got into other heavy cover. So then another flash goes forwards to remove some Overwatch, and it's time for Napoleon to destroy the enemy really close to him. Or is it? The game started screwing me over here. I've got line of sight on the guy, but I just can't select him to actually make the shot for some reason. Handily, when I tried again, it did work. I really thought I was about to be robbed of something by the game there. That would have been dodgy. We can even use our shotgun here, which it's all the same. That or the assault rifle would have got the kill. But the shotgun doesn't use ammo, so you might as well use it. And there we go. The other enemy just runs away during its turn, so it's time for us to advance on the building which contains all of the stuff we need to steal. However, as I sent Genghis up to the roof to look for the guy who ran away, it turns out he's made some friends up here. There are a whole bunch of aliens up on the roof, and now Genghis is in trouble. One of the aliens does jump through that roof and falls down to the ground floor of the building. So now we're only facing 3 enemies here, but that's still difficult. Genghis is wounded and doesn't have very much combat power because he's a shinobi class. He's good at running in with the sword and attacking, but if there's more than 1 enemy, then doing that just leaves you outflanked and screwed, so we need to play it carefully. And by that I mean we need to start throwing grenades as usual. That grenade goes out, hits an enemy, but more importantly destroys part of the floor, so the enemy falls down and dies of full damage. Curiously, the other guy who just jumped down there didn't die of full damage because the game's inconsistent in so many ways. He's not going to have it that easy though, because Saladino moves up and shoots a grenade at said guy with no full damage, and he dies from that. So there we go, the ground floor's looking secure. As for the roof, all we can do is send Napoleon down the left side of the building to get to the opposite corner to where Genghis is. I can't make any attacks, but being there is going to help, because it turns out there are 2 more enemies climbing up the back of the building, joining the party up here. But Napoleon immediately overwatches and kills one of them. He has an ability that means he always overwatches after dashing, which normally you can't do, so that gives us a cheeky kill. And then the 2 guys who are really close to Genghis, that sectoid and a sentry, jump down to the ground floor to join this fight, so Genghis is relieved, and the enemy misses his shot against Saladino there, so things are looking good. And of course we're not going to waste any time. Saladino just stands right there and shoots another grenade into the bottom floor, damaging both of the enemies who are now standing on top of the corpse of the previous enemy, so that particular patch is really taking a pounding. Back up on the roof, now we just have to kill 1 enemy, and Napoleon is almost in a position to do it. And in order to pad for time, I'm going to talk more about the annoying process of working out how to take this shot, because our chance of making an attack here isn't that good. However, I can't get close enough to the enemy and stay in heavy cover, so that if I run up and miss, I'm safe from counterattack. Instead, I fire from an ever so slightly different position that, because of the cover angle system that is normally disabled, increased my chance of hitting by 10%, and we actually got the shot. So the roof is now secure. Then Vlad the Impaler comes into the building from the right and takes out the sentry. At the same time, Attili the Honey is coming in from the left, and she gets a decent enough, almost outflanking position on the sectoid and does get the hit, taking it down, and that actually secures the building. So all of a sudden we've sorted that situation out. It went from looking very dangerous to fine just because the AI didn't do very much. Now we need to pick up some items, go and grab all the supplies and make our way to the extraction point. The only risk here is that we'd run out of time, but we did have enough time to get away with it. I'm guessing you don't actually fail the mission if the enemy reinforcements show up. You probably get a chance to kill them, I don't know. So we're away with only Genghis wounded, and because we have that advanced warfare center, that 7 days isn't too bad. It, I guess, would have been 14 days if we didn't have it. So he'll be back in action soon enough. Another mission comes up right after this. This mission is just to go capture some more resistance personnel, or free some resistance personnel from captivity. Not sure how important these missions are. We've already got a load of resistance personnel. I'm not sure whether it's really worth getting them. But since there's nothing else going on, I'm going to send a big squad to go do it, if only to kill some aliens and get experience, because that's always going to be useful. With that, we come to the end of this part, and yet again we have failed to advance on either of the objectives, but we're getting closer. We do have 2 scientists now, so we can do the first one, and as for finding a lead, well, we found a few, and we are actually going to find the correct one next time, so join me for that.